I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in. Yeah. By the way, I watched AOC answering questions in Munich. This was not a good look for the United States. I watched Gavin Newsom answering questions in Munich, and this was a bad look for our country. This was a bad. These two people are incompetent, and at least Hillary's competent. She's just Trump deranged. She was so deranged. She is an angry woman, but I watched the other two speaking and answering basic questions. Look, Gavin has destroyed California, and AOC, I never heard her speak very much, and they started answering questions. She had no idea what was happening. She had no idea how to answer, very important questions concerning the world. But she can't answer questions concerning New York City either, because New York City got some problems.
So I think one of the reasons why, not just myself, but many of our colleagues here, in fact, many Democrats that are here as well, is because we want to tell a larger story, that what is happening is indeed very grave. And we are in a new era, domestically and globally. There have been many leaders who've said we will go back, and I think we have to recognize that we are in a new day and in a new time. But that does not mean that the majority of Americans are ready to walk away from a rules-based order and that we're ready to walk away from our commitment to democracy. I think what we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability. And so I think what we are seeking is a return to a rules-based order that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West we look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes, whether it is, kidnapping a foreign head of state, whether it is threatening our allies to colonize Greenland, whether it is looking the other way in a genocide. Hypocrisies are vulnerabilities, and they threaten democracies globally. And so I think many of us are here to say we are here and we are ready for the next chapter, not to have the world turn to isolation, but to deepen our partnership on greater and increased commitment to integrity to our values.
We know where the market's going. China gets it. Look at their GDP growth last year. Where was their GDP growth disproportionately? It was in the clean energy space. This is about economic prosperity and competitiveness. And that's why I'm so infuriated with what Donald Trump has done. It's our fiercest competitor moving forward, China, in this space. So California is it. It's the only game left in the EV space. Again, because of the intense investment in R&D. Remember, Tesla exists for one reason: California's regulatory market, which created the incentives and the structure and the certainty that allowed Elon Musk and others to invest and build that capacity.
First row and then one on the right. But here, let's start with Ryan. If there's a microphone, there you go, right here.
Modern environmental movement in the United States, again, started in California under Ronald Reagan. Not because Ronald Reagan was a fierce champion of clean air and clean water until he had to be. Los Angeles was so smoggy that businesses were complaining to the governor saying, we can't do business here. So he decided to do something about it with tailpipe. That's exactly why Donald Trump just said, pollute the hell out of the United States. That's called deficit spending. Pollution is an act of theft in the health of a nation and the cleanup costs. You saw all this just in the United States of America alone, 23 weather-related events last year that cost the taxpayers over $1 billion. We are, again, as dumb as we want to be. Don't tell me this is about saving money. Quite the contrary. The folks in China paid some attention. We established relationships with China. They send technical teams, and I agree with you. It's infuriating what I hear privately, but is not expressed publicly. And so we have to call people out. They'll be held to account. They will be judged and ultimately judge themselves. And I think this is a moral moment, across the board, simultaneous crisis, not just climate, but democracy. All this stacking of stress. And we all have a relationship to it. Society becomes how we behave. We are our behaviors. And so all of us have a role to play. All of us have agency. We can shape this conversation, but we have to stand up with more clarity, conviction, and we have to be more consistent.
People don't speak up because they're afraid of retaliation.
Yeah. Well, you know, buck up. So am I. There's probably not a politician in the United States. I mean, I'm under assault attack by this guy every single day. Here's the President of the United States. He's 80 years old, and he's calling me a nickname that an 8-year-old called me, new scum. The President of the United States. You saw the racist tropes he put out. This is the President of the United States of America. Call this guy out. Stop this timidity. Stop with the BS diplomacy. You're in the rearview mirror. The recklessness of our own actions. And we're all becoming Chamberlains in this space. We have a supine United States Congress, so we have to stand up. Corporate leaders have to stand up. People have to stand up.
Good point, Governor. Very strongly to the corporate leaders all across Davos.
I was first elected when I was in 2018, and I was a waitress in New York City. I had no health insurance. I could not pay my rent. And I consistently saw a party that championed special interests, the elite, and a Democratic Party that was very much kind of telling working people that everything was fine when it in fact wasn't. And after I was elected, I remember I was crossing this threshold, and there was this closed-door meeting of many high-ranking Democratic Party officials, people that you see in the news and all of that. And they derided behind closed doors at that time, a long time ago. They derided many of the populist demands that I had run my campaign on. And I had defeated a 20-year Democratic incumbent that was part of Democratic Party leadership. And they said $15 minimum wage at that time, way too high, too severe. The idea of tuition-free public colleges and universities, too far, expanding health insurance and Medicare, too extreme. And these are all the things that I, as a waitress, had campaigned on and had been major pain points in my life. And then they said, we have to listen to working class people more. And I think that that encapsulates much of the betrayal that the working class in the United States had felt. But we have also come a long way since then, and we have a long way to go.